afternoon. Yay, thank you. And welcome to our session on modern device management. I've talked to many of you about MDM. For those of you who have talked with during last Ignite, thank you for coming back. And for those who are on the MDM ride for the first time, please put on your 3D glasses. There's a lot of depth.
No glasses.
So I flew in from Seattle last week, and I decided to spend a couple of days at my parents' house in Tampa. I brought my work laptop with me. Preparing for some of the demos that you're going to see today, I decided to spin up 4 virtual machines at the same time. And as many of you know, when you try to do that, your device will start getting angry at you. So I decided to leave my device alone while it's spinning up the 4 virtual machines for me. And while I was sitting and waiting, I had this idea that for this demo, I should try to pick up the latest Windows build, the latest and the greatest. So for Microsoft employees, we are able to go to our internal files share and pick up the latest build. However, it needs VPN access. So then I had my dad's machine sitting right here, a very new, fancy, fast machine that I set up for him a couple of months ago. So I decided that my device that's angry at me, I'll let that be. Let me try on my dad's machine. So I basically logged onto his device. Now for my internal Microsoft build site, that device did not have any of my credentials or any of my VPN profiles. So let's go through what I exactly did. So I basically logged onto his device. I went to settings. And then there was this button for add work account. All I had to do is add work account, put in my Microsoft credentials, and then magic. In 2 minutes, the VPN profile was on the device. So once the VPN profile was in, I was able to access any internal resource within the Microsoft share site. So I went over to the share file, picked up the build, and then I was good to go. Then I just went back to settings, disconnected the add work account, and I just stepped back. And then my dad comes back and said, "Did you do anything to my device?" I'm like, "No." So that was great. So at that time, I realized that I am this on-the-go mobile workforce that is able to be productive while I'm traveling at any time, from anywhere, on any device. Hi, I am Mamta Kumar, Senior Program Manager in the Windows Engineering Mobile Device Management team. Joining us today, we have Tanveer Ahmed, Program Manager in our engineering team. And we also have this fantastic opportunity today to have a 15-year Microsoft MVP, the guru of group policy, who needs no introduction, Jeremy Moskowitz.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So I have no slides of my own, but I do have some notes. And who knows me from my work at gpanswers.com? All right, turn around. These are the sexy people. You could be sexy too. Who knows me from my work at Policy Pack Software? That helps. Oh, whoa, that's awesome. So great. So I sort of live in 2 places, right? On the one hand, I teach more people, probably any given year, on group policy and MDM concepts than anybody alive. And on the other hand, I have software that hooks in and makes group policy, SCCM, and MDM kind of more meaty for the things that it can't do by itself. So I was honored when they called me up and said, "Hey, would you like to help kind of set the stage for what we're going to talk about?" I was like, "This is great. Let me get some of my thoughts together." And the first thought I had was, I kind of have a confession. And my first confession was, when I first heard about MDM, this was 7 years back, if you were like me, you were probably thinking, that's it. Group policy heyday, it's over. Forget it, they're gonna rip it out of my cold, dead hands, and everything is moving on to the cloud. And I had to think about that for a while, and I sat down, I had a cup of tea, I went for a long walk, and I realized that I was kind of getting asked the wrong question, which is, am I afraid of MDM taking over group policy? That's not the question that I think I need to be asking myself. I think the question I should be asking myself is more like, well, is it similar to like, am I afraid of self-driving cars taking over for standard cars? Am I afraid of that? I'm not afraid of that. In fact, I think it gives me and affords me new opportunities in ways I didn't have before. Standard driving cars gives me one set of opportunities, and self-driving cars opens me to additional opportunities. So sometimes people will ask me, they go, Jeremy, are you afraid that MDM is the bad guy? And no, I don't think MDM is the bad guy. I think of him as another guy. Okay, he's just another guy that opens the doors for some interesting opportunities. So, yeah. So one of the things that you have seen probably time and time again, this is one of the slides that I've seen too, is this idea of a bridge between the classic workspace and the modern workspace. And I think Microsoft is getting the message and is telegraphing it to us that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay if you have on-prem workloads that make sense to keep on-prem and workloads that make sense for you to transition. And for instance, there's going to be definitely situations where people are going to have to stay entirely in classic workspace mode. Like by way of example, the interesting one would be like, I'm in an army base, in a bunker, and I ain't got no internet. Well, then you're not a good candidate for modern management. That makes sense, right? And then there are going to be other candidates that are perfect candidates for just saying goodbye to everything they've used to use and jump to something new. We'll probably end up talking about that a little bit later. So for me, what's obvious and what's telegraphing at this conference and from some of the things I've known earlier is that we now know that that transition is going to take somewhere between months to years or many years. And I think that's okay. It gives us an opportunity to kind of rest our brains and know that there's no you must get there yesterday story. The story is from the top down. It's going to take a while for us to get there. And what you're doing right now is okay. And what you're doing tomorrow is also okay. Like, that's an important takeaway for me. So for me, like anything that you invest in, I think you need to understand the opportunity, find the scenario, and validate that scenario. And you've probably seen in some of the modern management talks a bunch of interesting opportunities, and it's now our job to validate those opportunities and do some piloting and testing those scenarios out. And we'll talk about some of my specific favorite goals and scenarios. Now, the other key part for me is that, like, any of these opportunities can be bite-sized chunks. They no longer need to sort of be like, we've built it, and you're going to just jump across and figure out a way to get there. Each workload or each individual thing, you can decide if it's right for your team at the right time. So it's no longer a giant leap across a chasm. It now becomes little bite-sized chunks that you can take on in a way that you want. Okay, I think I beat this one to death. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so in the beginning, I like to say, Microsoft created the domain, and it was good, right? What did we have back in the day? We had, and even, like I said, back in the day, still today for most of us, we have Active Directory, and Kerberos, and Group Policy, and SMB. Now, if we think about those kinds of protocols and moving parts that are on the wire, and I think about like when I got started, which I became an MCSC when I was 21 years old, so that's quite a long time ago. Everybody was hardwired Ethernet. There wasn't a thing called wireless when I got started, okay? So that was all hardwired protocol, big pipe bandwidthy things. And it made sense at the time. We wanted to have everything embraced in one space and use the protocol bandwidth that we had for the network. But you know what? It wasn't enough. We needed more power. So what did we do? We got deep into group policy. So if you're like me, you fell in love with the raw, awesome power that was group policy, which is still fantastic and has a lot to offer. The point is like that was the first notch on the dial for more power, but that wasn't enough for you. You wanted what? That was super lame. Okay, let's try again. You wanted what? More power! Right, of course you did. And so what did you add to that? You added a ghost factory in the basement. Who's got ghost factories in the basement? Yes, you do. Oh, sorry. Who has MDT factories in the basement? Ah, there we go, okay? So that increased your power, and then you were like, you know what? I need, wait for it, I need what? More power! So you added SCCM or something else like that to increase your ability to like deploy software, take inventory, do more desktop rollouts in a more controlled fashion. It was kind of like you had a giant granite wall, and you were trying to drill through that granite wall at all times. In other words, you just didn't have enough power. You had to keep driving through that wall. So I'm a fan of power. I like the idea of power. Right tool for the right job. So not every workload is going to require all that power at all times. So said another way, there's definitely going to be workloads that you have today and may have tomorrow that are going to require all that power, and that's okay. My friends here at Microsoft, I hope they can nod their head or say approval. They're not going to take away group policy or Active Directory domain joined from your cold dead hands. Until there's a thing that is no longer called domain joined, there's no way they can turn off the lights on group policy. And I think that's important for the total message of the bridge. You're going to be doing some things today, and some things are going to be available for you tomorrow. But right now, the lights are staying on. They're not going away anytime soon. Are we all in agreement? You saw it here, friends. OK?
Yes.
All right. So, the other piece that I kind of fell in love with from a group policy perspective is just the elegant architecture, right? So when I teach some of my group policy training classes at GP Answers, what I love to say is there's not a lot of moving parts. It's not magic, but there's just not a lot of moving parts. There's the domain controller, there's the client that has client-side extensions, and there's a little communication, and magic occurs. I like that part. I like elegant architecture. That actually resonates with me. So that's kind of important. The other part about where group policy still fits into the equation is where I like to say a rising tide lifts all boats. Well, what does that mean? Well, the Windows team in Microsoft is constantly engaging in new things you can do in the operating system. And you've seen some of that, at least I have. For instance, in Windows Defender, there's new things you can do, and in the operating system, basically all the things that they're surfacing that you can manipulate in the UI. Lots of those things are also coming out in both, wait for it, group policy and also MDM. Let me say that again. When there's something to be managed, they're enabling us to do it the way we like to do it today and the way that is foreseen for the future. Does that make sense? Ready today, ready tomorrow. So that's awesome. A rising tide lifts all boats, which honestly is kind of great because it might have seemed at some point that was not the case, but it seems like everybody's on board with that now, and all new settings are happening in both group policy and MDM by and large,
yes.
Right? Great. Now, of course, in group policy land, we see this in ADMX. We see new ADMX things come out. So when Windows 17.10 comes out, you'll download the latest, greatest ADMX files, you'll slap them into your central store, and bingo, you'll have more magical ability in group policy land. In MDM land, the story's a little bit different, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Now, when it comes to traditional management, a lot of the things that we all know at the core of our bones, that is it's complicated, right? So by way of example, like I said, I became an MCSC when I was 21 years old. I'm wondering if the 21-year-old Jeremy could be dropped into today's IT world and know it all, get there at some point. I don't know if 21-year-old Jeremy could figure it out. Current aged Jeremy can figure it out because I've had a long life with all this stuff. But I think it's increasingly difficult for somebody who's coming into IT to sort of understand what have we built together. So I call that the learning curve problem. The second problem with traditional is that every new thing is a brand new way to get it managed. You want to add Macs? That's a brand new ecosystem. You want to get Android, that's a brand new ecosystem. You want to get brain scanning devices, whatever's new, that's going to be a new ecosystem on-prem. And I think that's going to be a challenge. Every new thing you introduce with traditional is going to be a brand new kind of thing you're going to have to deal with. And lastly, there's multiple ways to do the exact same thing. So if I say, how do you deploy software? I guarantee I would get 10 different answers if I rounded you all up and asked you, how do you deploy software? I mean, I could see the engrams in your brain just lighting up. Oh, I deploy it this way, I deploy it this way. There's no one way to do something, and that adds complexity to the mix right there. Okay, moving on. Okay, so now we're on to modern mobile device management. For me, I think that there are going to be some definite quick wins. I gotta say, I really dig the idea of autopilot. I like the idea of I buy 500 machines, I drop ship them all over the world, they turn them on, and it's freaking magic. It really is. It's one of the really neatest things I've seen come out in a long time. That's a pretty big quick win right there. I also like that the infrastructure is really tight. Like group policy is, there's not a lot of moving parts. It's a client, it's talking to a server somewhere, they have a little conversation, download, and magic occurs. Not a lot of moving parts. I'm a fan of that. I also think that the best quick wins are definitely going to be for the ones that are always on the go or always connected. They call them devices that are always on the go. So those kinds of devices are almost certainly going to be the first quick wins that you're going to get. I also like that policies can always be pushed or pulled. Group policy is a pull mechanism. Group policies are never pushed, they're always pulled from a source. But in MDM land, it's nice. You can actually say, like, I have a wish or an emergency, and that wish or emergency can be distributed in pretty short order, which is pretty nice as well. Not to mention what I like to call remote F-disk. What's that? You left your laptop at the airport? Remote F-disk, boom! There's something to be said about that we cannot do with on-prem infrastructure, okay? So, from a philosophy perspective, now this is my philosophy. I'm hoping my friends here at Microsoft will agree that I'm hitting the mark, which is that the MDM team's job, they're not trying to reproduce the ecosystem that is group policy in MDM land. That's not a design goal. They're not trying to achieve that. They're not trying to take all the policy settings, all the preferences, all the security settings, and all the idea of OUs and block inheritance and all that stuff that we know already and get it over to the brave new world. That's not the point. What they are trying to do is take over some key settings which will implement key scenarios. Does that make sense? I call this the less is more approach. It's not the more is more approach. We already have that. We're talking about the less is more approach. So some of the settings will be transferred over, which will enable certain key specific scenarios. So that being said, sometimes you might be blocked. There might be a particular policy setting that's not there, and for the love of God, you can't get over to the new world unless it's in MDM land. There are going to be two ways you can handle that problem. Way number one, we're going to talk about the tool that Microsoft provides called MMAT. I'm going to step through a couple slides in a little bit. It's going to help you determine what things from Microsoft will transfer over. I call these curated settings. These settings are sanctioned, official, they will work, they're guaranteed, that sort of thing. Then for everything else, in the resource slides, there's a third-party tool, you can check it out, that will help you transfer over anything like group policy preferences, some group policy security settings, and any other things that are hanging around in group policy that might be blockers for you to transfer over from group policy land to MDM land. But from the Microsoft perspective, they have curated settings to open up specific scenarios. Have I articulated basically your position?
Absolutely.
Great. Okay. All right, I think I'm on to the next one. Excellent. Okay, promises. So for me, I really liked Mamta's kind of lead-up story. The idea is she could walk up to a particular machine, work from anywhere, get immediately productive, not a lot of brain power involved, just had to know your username and password. That's an easy peasy one. That's kind of nice. I like that one. I like the idea of BYOD. I know that there are some organizations that say, here's $300, go to Best Buy, and the rest is on your own. I like that. It's a good one. I also really like the idea of not having to spin up like a gaggle of servers to service 5 people at the spiral end arm of the galaxy, right? I got a team, 5 people in Botswana. What do I got to do? I got to have a domain controller. Maybe it's read-only. I got to ship it there or VM it. I then have to have connectivity to back here. And then if I want to do SCCM, I then have to get a distribution point. Like, there's work involved for 5 people. That's a lot of work. So I like that as a quick win. Lowers TCO costs, minimizing your on-prem infrastructure costs for those key scenarios. So again, one of the things that I mentioned is that not every freaking policy setting is coming over, but they are trying to get over the best ones. And one of those things is going to be in the security baselines. Has anybody played with the security baselines even from a group policy perspective yet? Security baselines, okay. If you came to my class and you haven't touched those yet, shame on you. Okay, anyway, we'll be talking more about the security baselines in a couple minutes, but I think that's an interesting case. It opens up a scenario. What is the scenario? It makes your machine more secure by default, and they're enabling that scenario with some existing policy settings, so that's important. Okay? The other thing I just sort of want to mention from a philosophy perspective is that these new scenarios, a very knee-jerk reaction, and one that I had too, is how do I recreate my whole wheel in this new world? It's an easy place to get started, but to end up in a slippery slope. So said another way, listen to the scenarios. Understand what you can do now with the new kind of philosophy and what's coming and what's available. And if a scenario hits a mark for you, great. Recreating the whole world that you have over there is not the goal. I understand that you're gonna have some blockers, but it's not about recreating the wheel, it's about opening up the scenario. So, if you forget all of my talk, if you forget all of it, okay, here's like the 2-point summary, okay? Group policy and Active Directory not going away, okay, and still the best method for on-prem domain join machines for the most amount of control, okay? That's the summary point number 1. However, that being said, for both non-domain join machines and domain join machines, if you want to manage with less is more, they call it the intent method. If you want to manage with intent, keep your mind open, take a listen to what the MDM team has to say about new scenarios, and see if one of these scenarios hits a mark, something that might be interesting to get toward the cloud. You get less complexity overall, and you get some new scenarios. Now, that being said, I wrote down a lot of notes. I was able to get to most of them. If you're interested in what I call my handwritten notes, they're easy to get. You can go to gpanswers.com/notes. With that in mind, I'm ready to go into the MMAT discussion. So MMAT is a free download. You get it off of GitHub. That's pretty cool, which means it's open source-ish. PowerShell scripts you could read through, right?
Yeah, it's available.
Yeah, so you can get it, check it out, and basically it has one job. You can fire it at one single GPO, a collection of GPOs, or all of your GPOs, and out will pop a report. So let's go ahead and get started here. This is you. You can do this on either a Win 10 machine or a Win 7 machine, like whatever it's on your desk right now, and bam, out pops a red, yellow, green report. What stuff is gonna transfer over exactamundo perfectly and just the way you would expect? What stuff is going to transfer over, maybe not, based upon a specific scenario you might have, and what, stop right here, this stuff is never going to transfer over, okay? This is obviously a sort of a mock-up report. The actual report is very easy to read. It's just an HTML report that pops out. The one thing I do want to note about MMAT, which is that if you have lots of GPOs you fire it at, it does not care about order or precedence. It's not its job. Its job is to tell you, of the GPOs you fired it at, is there a setting in them that can transfer over? That's its whole job, okay? So that's sort of a little gotcha as you get to it if you want to check it out. Anything else about MMAT? Oh, yep, so there you go. You download it off of GitHub. The URL is right there. Very easy to run. The PowerShell, 2 seconds later, and you're ready to go. What else we got? I think that's it. And
all right.
there we go.
Jeremy. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for sharing your insights and guidance. A big round of applause for Jeremy, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I guess I'll...
No, I'm not, Jeremy. I'm not letting you go yet.
Putting me back to work?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to take a sip of water.
So we've talked to many different customers about modern device management, and every customer has a very unique scenario. So looking at a big population of what are all these different scenarios and how do we address these unique challenges, we've come up with about 4 different paths to modern management. So let's take a look at these 4 different paths. So the first path is cloud first. Now just yesterday at the expo floor, at the Windows 10 management booth, I had this gentleman walk over to me and say that, hey, I have 150 employees and I'm going to expand to about 300 employees and I don't have any management today. Should I do SCCM? Should I do MDM? Should I do a mix? What should I do? And I said that, hey, 150 employees trying to grow to 300, you don't want to be overwhelmed with too much management. Look at the simplistic management, which is modern device management. So my recommendation for such a use case would be just go MDM. It has many of the security features and the manageability that you're looking for. Now, Jeremy, from your experience in talking to some of your customers, who do you think would be good candidates for this, and what are your thoughts on this?
Sure. So the folks that would probably hit the mark best for cloud first are, I'm doing a divestage. Is that the right word? Divestage, where you're taking a position of an existing company and sending 20 of them off to their own island. Those, you know, that kind of scenario, divestiture, thank you, I lost my brain. That word, whatever that is, where you're taking people and sending them out of your company, those people have a great opportunity at that point to start fresh and to try things out. If the scenarios fit, then it's going to be a good fit for them.
Awesome, thank you. Now, let's look at the second path that we've identified. So talking to a few customers for the past several years, they've been thinking about, I need to upgrade this part, I need to upgrade this other part, and now I need to upgrade this part. So they've been sitting on a lot of little legacy components, and now they are at a point where they are saying that, hey, I can't upgrade this unless I upgrade this, then I need to do this before or after. So they are basically feeling blocked. So for that customer who's at that point wherein they think that, hey, I need to modernize, but I am blocked, our recommendation is the big switch transition, which is basically, in this approach, you would move all aspects of Windows over to modern management. Now, for a greenfield, smaller, simplified infrastructure company, this might look straightforward that, hey, I just have 5 different things and I'm going to move to modern management, it'll work great. However, for a much larger organization with complex IT infrastructure, the complexity of transformation might end up being a bit of a challenge. So, Jeremy, what do you think about this big switch transition?
So this is kind of the message that I think we were getting as a family, right? Which is like, we're going to build it, and you're going to figure out a way to get here, and you're going to get here, right? And I think the message we're starting to hear is that that's changing. That being said, I do know of at least one financial organization that's like taking a swing at it. They've got 10,000 computers, and they're going to just like say, out with the old, in with the new, taking a swing at it. I don't know their state of affairs, but I know they are taking a swing at it. So at least one big organization that I know is trying to do this thing.
That's great, Jeremy, and I'm really looking forward to the day when they land on modern management and we can say that, yes, big organizations can take this approach as well. Let's look at the third approach. If you've been looking at modern device management for a while now, and you're at a point where you think that modern management doesn't have everything I need for every user. So I was talking to one of our customers, Joseph sitting here actually, and he was explaining to me the different Active Directory organizational units. And in our conversations and looking through MMAT, I came to this point wherein, hey, let's say an organization has a sales group. The sales group is always on the go, internet facing, don't really go to corporate network very often, and their work mainly relies on web-based apps. They are a great candidate for this group by group transition. So let's say that the sales org moves first. Another good example is kiosk users. So kiosk users with dedicated apps and multiple users is another great example for this transition. Now you might see that you have legal and finance departments which need more control and manageability. So let's try out our early groups first and then see how the rest of the groups can make over. So this is the group by group transition. Jeremy, what do you think of this approach?
So where I see a lot of group by group transitions, I get phone calls for, like I said, both sides of the 2 businesses that I run. The ones that I see that are doing group by group transitions are like MSPs, like managed service providers. I am going to manage a doctor's office today, a lawyer's office tomorrow, and an accounting office on the 3rd day. And those guys kind of need to be in multiple places at once. And there might be small business server style stuff that's going on over there. They don't want to have that infrastructure anymore. So I get that from time to time. And then the other thing that I'm seeing some curiosity points about anyway is like BYOD with regards to like university. Like you're going to come to this university, buy whatever machine you want, but when you do, you're going to enroll in our world, and it's going to be managed our way-ish, right? We're going to be managing more, we're going to be doing more with less, right? We're not going to be group policy enabling your device. We're going to be MDM managing your device with just the right amount for the scenarios that we want the university students to have.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yep.
Now let's look at the 4th choice. If you had an opportunity to attend either Brad's session yesterday or this morning session with Jason Gittins and Ariel Neds, they talked about co-management. So co-management is basically sort of a bridge wherein you can start moving certain workloads from your on-prem traditional management over to the modern management. And we'll dig deeper into some of the co-management concepts in the next slides. So co-management is basically the bridge from your existing on-prem to the cloud modern world in a iterative manner. Start moving some of the loads, and then over time you will see that you have modernized. This actually reminds me of something this morning. We had a focus group with some of our customers this morning, and one of the customers said that for the past several years, I'm getting this pressure from upper management. We need to modernize. However, when I look at our real estate, it is very challenging. So I want to call out that this is not an all or nothing approach. You can't, so co-management basically gives you the step-by-step bridge to make it to modern. So you can go to upper management and say that, hey, I've taken the first step towards management, then I've taken the second step, and eventually in the next couple of years, you will get to modern management. So that's this co-management approach. Jeremy, what do you think of this path?
I think that that's probably the majority of where people are going to land if the scenarios make sense for them in MDM land. So the first thing that I would probably take on is OMS, right? I like the idea of OMS being a way for me to figure out what Windows 7 machines and Windows 10 machines are in what state of readiness to be able to upgrade or to be, to what their patch level is. And this is all free, if I've got my story straight.
Yeah.
It's all free. It's a cloud-based service. And it's kind of like the baby step that takes you into then thinking about co-management, right? And so, to me, that's the very first place I would probably start, because we all have Windows 7 still out there, by and large. Time to figure that out, and this is the free tool to help us figure it out. And then after that, we can then decide, do the scenarios make sense for us in MDM land? Can we manage the MDM style?
Yep, awesome. Thank you, Jeremy, and go with Jeremy and our recommendation. Take that first step with OMS towards modern management. Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Another big round of applause for Jeremy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna stay right here.
Stay here, not letting you go yet. All right. So let's look at the co-management. So in co-management space, we have config manager managing your devices today. With the MDM solution, you can have both management solutions managing your device. And then over time, you start moving workloads iteratively from your on-prem management to the cloud management. And you will see that over time, you have taken so many steps towards modern management that at some point you can just be only modern management. Let me introduce you to my two best friends at Contoso. We have Anna, the IT admin, and we have Wally, the information worker at Contoso. So as an IT admin, putting myself in Anna's shoes, what is it that keeps me up at night? There are two primary things. The first one is securing corporate assets. And when I say corporate assets, that is not just the end user's devices, but it's much more. It's the corporate assets such as SharePoint, email, or whatever else you have. So for making sure that in the MDM modern world, you're able to keep those assets secure, we have many security and configuration policies. We have the BitLocker management, and we'll look at the demo in a couple of slides. We also have security baselines in MDM that's going to ship actually mid-October to our MDM ISV partners. The second thing that Anna really cares about is making sure she keeps her users productive. To keep the users productive, how many of you have tried to deploy Office and then you've said that, hey, this is too big, I'm going to just give up, or I'm going to see how to make this work. So in the MDM land, we've made it easier now with the Office Pro Plus deployment suite, and you'll see that in the next couple of slides. We also have something called delivery optimization that Tanvir is going to cover, and you will see how MDM actually has simplified things and can make your users productive as soon as they get their devices. As an IT admin, Anna is in a position to say that MDM helps me meet my organization's security needs. Now let's see, how can she say that? What makes that true? So we've added a lot more management capabilities from the security perspective in MDM. So earlier this year when we shipped Creators Update, we added BitLocker management, and BitLocker management is now available in your MDM consoles if you want to manage BitLocker use for your desktop devices. We also have select group policies and Win32 app configuration, so you can configure Adobe, Chrome, and many other apps. In the fall creators update that we are going to ship next month, we have firewall configuration. So you've done firewall with group policy all this time, and now if you go to your MDM console, you will see 67 different settings for firewall. It's all there, and that's what makes it easy and simple to just manage this capability for all your devices from the single pane of glass. We also have a couple more, calling out Windows remote management, because customers say that that's super important. Let's take a quick look at the BitLocker management demo. So here what we are looking at is basically the Azure portal. So I have set up a couple of devices. Remember those 4 VMs I was trying to spin up where my device got angry? So let's take a quick look at BitLocker management, and this is our MDM Intune portal. So here I've set up BitLocker management. I've already configured it. So let's just look through it. It shows up under endpoint protection. So it has majority of the settings that we use in the group policy based BitLocker management. So for the purpose of this demo, I have said require encryption. I have kept the default 128, but you can change it if you'd like. And it's basically the same for the OS drive, fixed drive, and the removable drive. So I'm going to hit OK. And I have assigned this to go to a group that I have created. With this new Azure-based Intune portal, the moment you save the configuration, it starts getting deployed. So now let's look at our end user Wally's device. So Wally basically has this device, and it's enrolled into the tenant that I just showed. So what I'm going to do now is, from settings, just to speed up this process, I'm going to sync. And what this does is the client is syncing what else is there in the MDM server that it should act on, and it sees encryption is needed. So this is an optional page wherein using BitLocker, if you want to show this to your end user, you can do it or you can hide it. So on this particular device, I know that I don't have any other disk encryption, so I just go ahead, and then the device starts encrypting. So I'm not going to make you go through this encryption, but it's pretty straightforward. So let BitLocker automatically save, automatically unlock, then save it to your cloud domain account, which basically sends the key to Azure Active Directory. It says that your key has been saved, then you click next, and then you start encrypting. Now I'm not going to make you stare at my encrypting. The other thing I want to call out here is, as we've been talking about this BitLocker management in the cloud, customers have been telling us that, hey, all that is great, but my end user is in the habit of picking up the phone and calling help desk. Hey, I've hit BitLocker recovery, where is the key? And this is something we just added end of August, wherein in Azure Active Directory, now the help desk admin is able to access the recovery keys. So this particular view is the help desk admin's view. And the person that encrypted the device, let's just take a look at that device. And you will see that the BitLocker recovery key is right here. So let's say Wally hit BitLocker recovery some day and he doesn't have a second device. As a help desk, I can help Wally get the recovery key and log into the device. So now let's take a quick look at what exactly happened in that demo. We have Anna, the IT admin, and Wally, the information worker. Now Anna has the latest fancy device. So it's not a PC box under a desk somewhere in the office. She's sitting with a fancy device, let's say in some resort in Hawaii. And Wally, our information worker, is sitting with his new fancy device, let's say at Starbucks. So Anna basically goes to her MDM console, which is in a secure cloud, and she decides that to meet my organization's security need, I want to make sure that every device that my employees use is encrypted. So she basically sets up the same setting that I just showed, that enforced drive encryption. As soon as she does that, a notification goes to the device that Wally has saying that, hey, dude, you gotta encrypt your device. And Wally says, hey, I am working, I am being productive. Don't take over my machine and start encrypting it. But the good thing about BitLocker encryption is that it happens in the background. So Wally continues doing what he was doing. His disk is getting encrypted. After a couple of minutes, his device is encrypted. The key is sent to Azure Active Directory. The status that his device is now encrypted goes to MDM. So while Anna is looking at the MDM console, she can see that yes, Wally has encrypted his device. Now even if Wally leaves his device at that cafe, it's fine because nobody can get to the files on the device. It goes beyond that. She can actually see her entire pool of devices. Let's say she has 100 employees. She can see who has encrypted, who has not encrypted, who encrypted but then went and decrypted. If an end user does that, it keeps sending the command that encrypt, it will keep nagging them. So the IT admin can be assured that the devices will get encrypted. So life is good. Now let's say one fine day, like I said, Wally had a bad day, he hit BitLocker recovery. He has a couple of options. He can take his mobile device with internet connection, go to the AAD portal and get the key. As soon as he gets the key, he puts it into the device and he can access the device back to being productive. But let's say that your end user does not have an internet connected second device. For that, we have the help desk admin in AAD that now has access to the recovery key. So your help desk basically reads out the BitLocker recovery key and your end user is back to being productive. So that's basically a deep dive into BitLocker management. Now let's take a look at security baselines. So Jeremy called out security baselines a while ago and many of you are familiar with security baselines. You must have used the tool SCM, Security Compliance Manager, to manage those settings. So let's see the experience of security baselines in MDM. So Anna should be in a position to say that I've been using security baselines on-prem. Now, hey, look, I'm looking at MDM and security baselines is already there. So let's see how we make that happen. So we've been working very closely with many of our MDM partners, and I know that some of you are in this room. So we are planning to ship the security baselines in MDM for the Fall Creators Update mid-October to our MDM ISV partners. What that basically does is the security baselines gets implemented in each MDM provider's console. So as a customer, when you go to your MDM console, all you have to do is click a button and the security baselines are there. So let's take a closer look at what that will look like. So when you go to your MDM console, you will have the option to put security baselines on all your devices with just saying, hey, Microsoft has been recommending these security baselines and I like that recommendation. I'm not going to tweak anything, so just give me those 338 settings and I'm good to go. So that's the basic UX. Now if you say that, hey, I've been doing security baselines for the last several years and there are those 5 settings that I am going to change. There is advanced UX support as well. So MDM ISV partners are basically building support to give you that same level of manageability for the settings you want to tweak when implementing security baselines. So if you say that, hey, I don't care about this setting, I want to disable it, go ahead, do that. You get to a level of granular control similar to security baselines using SCM. So as a customer, you can say that if I move to MDM, if I take that first step, I know that my devices are going to be secure because I'm going to put security baselines and my corporate assets are secure. Handing over to Tanveer.
Thank you, Mamta. Now that we talk about security, let's talk about getting users off their feet and getting them productive. One of the best ways to do that is to get them Office. With MDM in the Fall Creators Update, there's a new way to now deploy Office to devices that are being managed with MDM. What this looks like on the Intune portal is very straightforward. It's 4 simple steps. The first is when you go to add an application, one of the items on the dropdown will be the Office suite. When you select that, Intune actually guides you through a wizard which helps you configure how you want Office to be deployed in your organization. And it's a matter of three sets of questions. The first is, which Office apps do you want to deploy? With that, you have a simple interface where you check off which Office applications you want to deploy, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, whatever fits your end user's needs, and you click Next. You're then prompted to configure how that app is going to look like in your organization's enterprise app catalog. So things like the name, the display name, what publisher it's from, basic metadata. And last but not least, you can choose which variant of Office you want to deploy, 32-bit or 64-bit. Choose the velocity at which you want to update Office and keep it up to date. And also, really important, is make sure you can configure which languages you want to deploy Office in. As Mamta mentioned earlier, with the new Intune portal, all you have to do is hit OK and save it. And that's really it for managing your Office deployment. Intune will now push down Office applications to whenever devices will next pull or call back home. Or if you want to make this a critical update, Intune can push out the alert to endpoint devices, and the devices can grab the update directly from MDM at that point. Now, it's easy for me to stand here and say, hey, look, it's very easy to deploy Office, it's 4 buttons, but many of you sitting in your chairs know that it's not that simple. There's a matter of, 1 to 4 gigabytes, depending on which version of Office you're using, the click-to-run version or the MSI install, that now needs to somehow magically go over the wire to all your users, whether they're hardwired with very fast internet connection with plenty of bandwidth to spare, or the remote offices where bandwidth is a premium. And not only on top of that, how are we going to manage getting the Windows updates, which are now shipping twice a year, also to these devices as well? With MDM and Windows 10 and the Fall Creators Update, we've improved on the delivery optimization stack. And what this allows you to do is when a device comes online and it says, hey, I want this payload, it's able to now grab certain bits of that payload from Windows Update and delivery optimization services, as well as other machines on your intranet network. So basically what that boils down to is peer-to-peer networking for a lot of your LOB application deployment and Windows updates. And this helps reduce the load on your networks, which ultimately leads to lower bandwidth usage across the organization. Shifting gears a little bit and looking at how the information worker takes a look at things and what they're expecting when they're trying to use Windows at work. The first expectation that Wally has here is being able to easily set up his device. Now, in many other sessions, I know we talk about autopilot, and that's great for corporate-owned scenarios, but I know a lot of you here are thinking, hey, how do I get those BYOD scenarios up and running? There's a lot of new things that are coming out in the MDM side of things. We'll talk into that, that help with helping deploy devices and making sure that Wally can set up his device easily and simply. Being able to work from anywhere. So not only am I working at my desk at my office, I'm also taking that same device to a coffee shop or home. And I expect that device to be connected, to have access to all of my work resources and be able to work. And I know that sounds scary, and at the same time, that means that my IT admin now needs to ensure that all of the organization-owned data that's on that device is protected no matter how I use it, when I use it, or where I use it. Similarly, as an end user, I need to be able to trust my organization, especially in BYOD scenarios. If I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to use my personal device for work, I need to know full well what my organization is going to manage or what they have control over when they're managing my device. I certainly don't want my organization encrypting my personal device, and I want to be able to know that up front and be able to easily reference whether or not they're doing so. When we look at setting up devices, again, as mentioned, autopilot is a great way to do this for a lot of the corporate-owned scenarios. But if you're not using autopilot and you're already deployed and it's not imaged, this scenario looks like this. It's not super pretty. You open up settings, you go to accounts. Now, only I and maybe a handful of you know the rest of these steps because I do this every day, but it's accounts, You go into Access Work or School, connect, click the link, type in your UPN. Now you land on this ADFS page where you do your federation so you can get logged in. Now, there's like 5 or 6 clicks there. Not only that, I know which buttons to click, end users don't. And that's 6 different times you now have to look through the UI to make sure you're clicking the right button, to make sure you're not getting lost. And that's 6 different opportunities for a support call to come up, because there's a lot of different paths end users can go through. For BYOD customers or end users, it's a much better experience to be able to just email them a link that's personalized for them that you can send out. Say, hey, I know you're using your personal device, click this link, and the link now contains your credentials, namely your UPN, and a hint to the operating system for which flow you want to go through. End users no longer need to worry about whether they have to go through the MDM only flow, whether they want to add a work account, and specifically if you want to do AED join, you can do AED join. But the benefit here is when you click this link from anywhere, whether it's put up on an intranet website, whether it's being used in company portal applications by our MDM partners, or through an email, the next step is really, hey, type in your password and you're good to go. The whole vision here is to make things simpler, both for IT admins and for end users, and to help reduce support calls and overall reduce TCO. Being able to enroll or get to this step is nice, but oftentimes the next friction point for many end users is wondering or figuring out, how do I actually know my device is fully configured? Oftentimes the first question is my VPN here yet? Are all my policies here? Where are my apps? And we've made some enhancements to the enrollment flow itself to help answer some of those questions. If you're going through the settings flows, what you'll see is real-time progress around security policies, networking profiles like VPN or Wi-Fi, LOB applications, or even certificates, and get real-time status on when those are actually being delivered on your device. So it's no longer a guessing game to try and figure out whether your device is actually ready for work. And if you're using Autopilot or any of the UBI-based flows, the out-of-box experience flows, you'll be presented with this beautiful UI, which again shows you the same information around whether or not your policies, profiles, and apps are being set up. And in all scenarios, you'll get notifications letting you know exactly what's happening on your device, whether your device is fully set up, whether your device is still being set up in the background, or whether your device failed to set up properly, in which case clicking that will actually put you through a remediation flow or instruct you to contact your IT admin. Getting set up is great, and there's a lot of improvements that are being made to make sure that's a more seamless process. But once you are set up, you need to be able to use that device wherever you go, whether it's home, coffee shop, work. One of the nice ways to do that, especially with MDM in the Fall Creators Update, is using a feature we like to call dynamic management. What dynamic management allows you to do is configure policies on end user devices that can adapt to triggers such as time, location, or network. What that means is, if I have a device and I'm sitting in a coffee shop, the device can be configured to know, okay, I'm connected to an open network and I'm connected to this known location. It's low risk. My device's Wi-Fi, camera, and access to email will all still be on. However, when I move to the top secret warehouse where we manufacture the next big device, my organization doesn't want me to use my camera. And what it can do is use the GPS on my device to determine I'm in that known location that's restricted and automatically turn off my camera whenever I enter or re-enable my camera whenever I leave that facility. Similarly, when I go home, I want to be able to use that same device for my personal use. And as an IT admin, the IT admin's job is to make sure that the data is protected even then. In some cases, there are regulations that stipulate that, look, you can't actually use your device for work outside of working hours. There are regulations that prevent you from doing that. In those cases, what you can do is you can actually have the device allow you to connect to Wi-Fi, allow you to connect to camera, but then disable access to things like corporate email. If I'm working from home, sure, I can use my corporate-owned device. I can also use my personal device. If I use my personal device, I surely don't want all of the heavy-handed management that MDM pushes down, like the ability to remotely wipe my device or prevent me from unregistering from work in the first place. To help with those scenarios, we have mobile application management. Mobile application management allows you to effectively just manage the work-related applications on your device without managing the actual device itself. What that means is the data that your app uses that's work-related will be encrypted and be protected on your device. So as an IT admin, you're not worried that, hey, I have sensitive company information located on a personal device. At the same time, the user feels the flexibility to use their device with all the freedom they want, because at the end of the day, it is their device. MAM is supported on both desktop and mobile. It requires Azure AD. Under the covers, it uses Windows information protection to make sure that your data is secured on the device. And it's a consistent experience with what users are used to when they're using MAM for iOS or Android as well. And last but not least, as an end user, it's important to understand what is actually being managed on my device for my organization. Now in the Settings app, you'll be able to drill in with granular detail what exactly is being managed on your device. In this case, Microsoft IT can be managing security, networking, pushing down applications, and certificates. And as an end user, I'm now able to go through settings and look through what all is being managed on the device. In fact, when I go to enroll, I'll also get similar UI that lets me know, hey, your organization is about to do this. And I'm in full control of deciding whether or not I want to do that, which is very important for BYOD scenarios. Another thing where it's convenient to know what's being managed on the device is diagnostics. And with the Fall Creators Update, we've made diagnosing issues a breeze with the new diagnostics report. What this means is, in the past, you had to go through event logs or go through an XML document to figure out which MDM policies were actually enabled on the device. Then you had to worry about provisioning packages and all these other sources that kind of blurred the lines on how do I actually diagnose what's wrong with the device and how do I get to the root cause. In the Fall Creators Update, you have an HTML-based MDM diagnostics report, which grabs all of the relevant information around which policies are being enforced, who is pushing them, whether they're provisioning packages, which policies the provisioning packages are installing, and it's all made readily available in an easy-to-read format. And we think that this, at least with customers that have seen it and tried it so far, will greatly help diagnosing issues. One thing to note is when you generate this report, it also does grab the log, so if you prefer the old-fashioned way, you're welcome to do that as well. Before we close here, I'd like to first give a shout out to all of the MDM ISVs and vendors who really just make this possible. From Windows, we build all the client infrastructure pieces to make sure that our vendors can succeed and manage Windows and provide the best management experiences. But without the server support, there's really not much there. So we rely very heavily on all of our partners to make sure that we have the great management experience on Windows 10 that we do today with MDM. You've seen this slide in a couple of keynotes so far, this concept of Microsoft 365. Being able to have a device that allows you to unlock the full creativity of your end users, built for teamwork, for simplicity, for security. This is just one slice of the whole picture. If we're looking at management, that's what we're doing here and making management easier with the new modern approach for MDM. Some session resources that are helpful. You can find a lot of the documentation around which management capabilities are there today with MDM. There's new baselines. There's the MMAT tool. I encourage you to check out these resources and also reach out to us at our Twitter handles and ask. We're more than happy to help out. If there are any questions, we can take those now, but I would encourage you to step up to any of the microphones if you do have a question. Thank you.
Hi. So our company would like to simultaneously allow corporate-owned devices and BYOD devices. And the add-a-work account model is great because it lets us, enroll into Intune and deliver our provisioning packages, etc. But these BYOD devices come with Pro, obviously from the OEM. And we want to have, things like Windows Defender ATP deployed across organization, for which we would need enterprise. And I've been told, and through my own experiments, that subscription activation from Pro to Enterprise for these add-a-work account BYOD users isn't available. So what can those users do if we want to have BYOD with add-a-work account and have them be upgraded to Enterprise through subscription activation?
If your users are BYOD and they're bringing in their personal devices, the recommended approach is not to upgrade those devices to Enterprise SKU, generally because Enterprise SKU is meant for the corporate-owned devices from the large enterprise. In those particular cases, you can either set up those devices as corporate-owned machines and leverage things like Defender ATP and upgrade those to Enterprise SKU by AED joining the device. Otherwise, the recommended approach for BYOD scenarios is really to just add a work account and use the functionality that's available through there. A couple of things you're also missing with the add work account approach are things like enterprise state roaming, and that's intentional for that reason.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What about on the Mac side? You mentioned Android, iOS, and Windows. Anything on the Mac side?
What in particular are you referencing?
Just for MDM in general, the Mac configuration and control on the Mac side has been lacking, and we keep hearing that it's going to come, it's going to come. Any updates there?
So MDM in general is a generic protocol that can extend across multiple platforms. We specifically focus on the Windows components, so across all Windows devices. For Mac support, it's really up to Apple in that case to build support for it, or MDM servers to work with Apple to build support for it. With the Jamf, yes.
Yep. Thank you, Joseph.
I was curious about the application deployment using MDM. What are the limitations? What kind of apps? Are they like click-to-runs only, or do they have to be MSI? I've got some really, really old and ugly Win32 apps that we have to support.
Those aren't going to work.
Okay, yeah, I can't get them to work when I install them manually,
Right.
But what are the limitations?
Well, for MDM support, you're looking at single executable MSIs.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, the recommended approach is to use tools like the desktop bridge to get those Win32 apps in a model that can be delivered through the Universal App Platform.
Okay.
There are additional tools available, for example, the Intune Management Extension, and other tools from other third-party MDM ISVs that also allow you to deploy Win32 applications, but they're using additional components beyond what's built into the MDM platform.
Cool. So I just need to be looking wider to find the capabilities. Cool, thanks.
Yep.
I have a question regarding the BitLocker management. So one of the security concerns that we were approached by our own security team about was help desk as well as desktop support, admins having access to the BitLocker key. So the concern is that when we get the code that we want to be able to basically obfuscate it again and get a different one, because that user now has the BitLocker key to another person's machine. That's kind of concerning to us. Are there plans in the BitLocker management console to, when someone accesses the key, to either like email the person and say, hey, you have somebody just access your key, you should, if it's okay, then it's okay, but if not, you need to talk to someone about this. Or when someone accesses the key, it will regenerate it again.
So a couple of things here. So the first part is when a key is used and entered in that blue page, that key is never going to work again.
Okay, that's the answer.
And the second one is you mentioned that a different user had access to the key. How did that work?
So what I'm saying is, like, when you are a desktop support admin and let's somebody stops the graphics card in their computer and you're like, look what I did, and now I get the BitLocker message, for example. That's just one example. Whenever they get that prompt, they may not have the key like on them, that someone has to go get it for them. That person now has knowledge of that key. That's what I'm saying. The IT admin has access to it and they just gave it to the person.
Yeah.
In a traditional thing,
correct.
If that makes sense.
And here we are working with the trust model that the IT admin who has the key for a reason to help the end user.
Okay.
And similar with the help desk admin as well, that we are basically empowering them to help the end user if the end user is not able to get it themselves.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Does that answer your question?
Kind of. That's okay.
Feel free to send us an email, and we'll also be available outside and on the expo floor at the booth, and let's talk through the scenario.
So we have a current process. When we image a machine, the BitLockering is part of that imaging process, right? And then we also push group policy settings for secure boot. So those are two very important things. And then boom, it's done. You give it to the user. Do you know? So it was good to see the BitLockers being included. Is secure boot also available to be implemented out of the gate for like a self-provisioned device?
Secure boot is one of the items on our radar to get covered. That is a common ask, and we've heard that feedback loud.
Okay.
It is one of the things we're working on.
Okay. All right. And I mean, the other thing about, the BitLockering probably takes more than a couple minutes for the end user.
Yes.
It could maybe affect performance too, but that's why we try to do it ahead of time as part of the build process. But it'd be great if it could be incorporated more seamlessly with this mechanism of self-provisioning. Thanks.
So in BitLocker, there is another thing called automatic encryption, wherein if you set automatic encryption and then the end user gets the device for the first time, it will be automatically encrypted. Once they log in, the device is already encrypted and the key is in the cloud. So they won't get the prompt that go encrypt because it's already there.
Okay.
It's only for instant go devices.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I got a question on the BitLocker. Does the control panel show you any logs of issues with the BitLocker on a local machine? Let's say if it trips BitLocker, does it tell you what tripped BitLocker?
So that is something we're actually looking at. So there are certain events that are putting the device in the recovery state. And that is a common ask from many customers. And that is actually something we are looking at for the future iterations, wherein we want to make sure that the IT admin can actually say that it was a changed motherboard or it was what basically caused the recovery. So that is something we are looking at, but that we don't have yet.
Okay. Like I just got an email from our help desk team saying the Windows updates deployed triggered BitLocker on a certain number of machines. So it's kind of, and these are all Windows 10 updates that something. All right.
Hi guys, is there plans to automate the enablement of BitLocker on non-instant code devices? There is some workarounds I know available, but is that going to be made available in the console?
Let me understand, let me restate the question. So the question is on non-instant code device, you want automatic encryption.
Yes.
And are these existing devices or new devices or legacy devices?
Both?
So the plan is that for all modern devices, when they ship, they will ship with BitLocker already there. So in the future, you will not even need BitLocker or be talking about BitLocker because devices will ship encrypted.
But what happens when you have a customer that requires more secure encryption cipher keys, for instance? You then need to decrypt and encrypt. Is there a way to do that in autopilot, for instance?
Not today. So that is something, that's a really good ask that you bring up, and we'll definitely look at it, whether we can integrate that and build it into the autopilot experience.
Okay. And in terms of kiosk devices, what's the strategy towards BitLocker for shared PC, for instance?
We're currently working on a better kiosk experience. There's nothing at this time that we can comment on, but that is something that we've heard feedback from when we ask customers about what the requirements are for kiosk scenarios.
Okay.
So let's keep this conversation going, because the things that you're calling out are actually very valuable pieces of input when we think of what we want to design. So let's exchange contact information so we can reach out to you and see what is the scenario that we are trying to solve for.
Certainly, yeah. And also, is there anything on the roadmap to remove admin rights from users from local devices, modern devices?
Sorry, what was that?
So I know at the minute with the first release of Autopilot, you can remove users being admin on their local devices. Is there going to be more scalability within Azure to provide security teams access to just-in-time access admin rights on certain devices? At the minute, you can only assign it to all devices, to a single user.
That is feedback we're hearing consistently from a number of customers, and it's actually one of the items that we're looking at right now. Again, no comment really on availability, but it is something that we're aware of and working on.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure.
You had mentioned that coming in October, the security baselines will be available to ISVs.
Yep.
When will it be available to the general public for consumption, or will they be?
So for RS3, we are actually shipping the group policy-based security baseline sometime this week, and that will be the RS3 draft version. Now, when we are looking at the MDM, the way you saw the UX built, that UX support depends on the MDM's implementation of it. So we are working very closely with MDM partners almost on a daily basis, wherein we are telling them there are 338 settings, this is what you need, these are the baselines. So from my conversations with them, some of the MDM ISVs are going to try to have it before the month of November in the MDM console. So if you're looking for security baselines in MDM, look at it around November, December of this year. And if you're looking for the security baselines group policy based, that is shipping this week. So the draft will be out, and if you just look for 1710 security baselines windows, you'll be able to find that.
Awesome. Okay, but
Yep.
for the security baselines, we'll need to work with an ISV then.
Yeah, I'll put it a different way. On October 15th, we will hand the ball off to respective ISVs.
Right.
At that point onward, bug your MDM ISV. Ball's in their court at that point.
Okay, for MDM, if GPO, we can do ourselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And if there is a specific MDM that you're working with, feel free to send me an email. I talk to them every day, so I can tell them that, hey, this customer really wants it and they are looking to move, and they will prioritize and get it available in that MDM.
Yeah, because when he had mentioned kiosk type machines, that to me would be something pretty high priority, something where you could at least start in a pretty well locked down state that's been kind of vetted by a lot of people. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You mentioned some improvements for DO in RS3. Can you give me some more details? What is coming, and will the versions RS2, RS1 be compatible with these new enhancements?
So when I say new enhancements, it's just more general efficiency updates with how DO operates. The other thing, the visible thing that you will see as an IT admin are new PowerShell commandlets that allow you to see progress of delivery of optimization on a machine, so you can test it out before you actually roll it out. There's also additional MDM policies that are coming out, and they're documented in these available, like the session resources. If you look up delivery optimization, you'll see a lot of new policies around delivery optimization that'll help you fine-tune DO to your specific organization's needs. Things like cap limits or how you want them to actually do the peer-to-peer communications.
But both versions will be compatible. So if I have the same network, RS2 and RS3, they will work together and act as peer-to-peer.
Yes, the only difference is the new MDM policies and the PowerShell command list will only work on Vault Creators Update and beyond.
Okay, thanks.
One question. We in a company we have over 200 remote offices.
Yes.
We use SCCM distribution points to get the software out there locally to the clients. Is there any plan to add in some distribution point that are using the Azure infrastructure, like Azure Files or something that makes the files closer to the end user, so they don't have to, everybody need a download?
Through MDM?
Yeah.
Again, that is one of the items that we've heard feedback from, is getting a better CDN story for MDM. It's something that we're working on, but at this time there's no firm date on when that'll be available.
This is our last question.
Yeah. In my organization, when we manage BitLocker, there was a distinct decision that we didn't want to upload the BitLocker keys into AD because we wanted a separate team that had access to the keys. So we used MBAM from MDOM. And I'm just wondering if, as part of the MDM process, you are also focusing on the ability where in organizations to separate access to BitLocker keys from your typical admin rights situation, for management purposes.
So this is something I've been looking at since earlier this year, actually. So Azure Active Directory has a concept called administrative units, and this is something that we are looking at. So it's not there today. So you could have administrative units wherein you have certain users in a given administrative unit, and they see only the admin for that AU can see the keys. Then you have a different AU with a set of users, and only that admin can see those keys. So this is something we are looking at. Yeah.
And as part of that, of course, the reporting benefits of BitLocker management, right? So I recognize that it's not everyone needs that, but obviously some organizations do for the separation.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That has come up many times, and working closely with the Azure Active Directory team to prioritize, so it will happen, and I'll come here and say that, hey, it's there. So we are still looking at it, and
cool.
I'll keep pushing on it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.